I'll be right there. The weed guy's here.
It's witchcraft.
Hey, it's 4:20 a.m. Hi, and welcome to the Stoned Witches Hour, book 2 of Your Stories. This is where we read your spooky stories, your ghost stories, your personal experiences.
I love these. And, we get such great stories from people. I think this is one of my favorite types of episodes to do is these listener stories. I love it.
They're so much fun. People's experiences just blow my mind. I cannot believe the submissions that we've gotten and the spooky experiences that people have had.
We're not the only ones who have fucked up shit happen to them.
Weirdness is universal. Everyone has some sort of odd story. So, all right. So welcome to the Stoned Witches Hour. I'm Layla.
I'm tired, but I'm high, but I'm Chelle. I don't even know what I am right now. I'm here.
It has been a month, hasn't it? I mean,
holy Lord.
Right?
Is it retrograde? Are we in retrograde right now?
We are. It's Mercury retrograde. We just had Friday the 13th. And Yikes. A full flower moon with a full eclipse.
It was bloody looking, by the way.
It was beautiful. Did you manage to stay up?
It was beautiful. Yes, I did stay up. Here in the East Coast, it was, I'd say it started around like 10:40, where you could start to see the shadows starting, and it was starting to go from white to that bloody red. Because when the moon came up earlier in the evening, it came up white and bright. But man, by about 5 after midnight, it was one of those bloody, smoky, eclipsey moons that you only see in like vampire movies. It was so awesome. And believe it or not, for the first time in upstate New York history, it was a clear night, so you could see it.
I was really surprised that you were going to be able to see it. I know that when we had talked about it earlier in the day, that there was some talk about it maybe being a little too cloudy over there.
Right. And I am currently not home, as you are aware. So I'm recording today from upstate New York, back in the homeland. And I'm telling you, the fact that it was a clear night in upstate New York, the gods were here, man.
It was a full moon miracle.
It was a full moon miracle. It was really cool to watch. And I really hope that everybody had an opportunity that had a clear night was able to see it, because whether you're spiritual, witchy, whatever the hell, it was just cool to watch.
I agree. And, full moons are so nice. And especially in pagan and witchy traditions, that full moon really brings out the
magic.
It makes you feel magical. It makes you feel like dancing under that full moon, especially this time of year. Everyone's restless and ready to get outside and feel nature and just being under that gorgeous, like you said, it was bright and white and beautiful when it came up, and just being outside. And
the cool thing was, though, is that I happened to still be up at about 2:30 a.m. and I stepped outside by about 2:30. It was back to being that bright white full moon. Eclipse aside, to see it go from that bright white as it was rising to that blood red back to bright white, I don't know. There's just something cool about that. I love it.
I agree.
It was beautiful.
And to kind of get a little esoteric and bring it back to the goddess, the full moon, the full goddess, and just being like the white of the maiden goddess turning to the red of the mother goddess, all while being in the black sky, to just kind of bring it back to that maiden mother crone aspect. That kind of eclipse is a beautiful way to showcase that and to kind of feel that feminine energy.
Start to finish, the whole transition, it's just a sight. It's just a sight. And I do hope that a lot of people were able to get out and see it.
I hope people were able to get out and smoke some flower under that flower full moon and
enjoy. I was, obviously.
Oh, definitely, for sure. I got high. It was just beautiful being out there. Here it was, a gorgeous night, a little chilly, but just perfect to go outside and watch that.
What time was it out in the West Coast? What time did that happen? It was about 10 after midnight here.
It's about 3 hours different here. So it was just after 9 p.m. here. So it was definitely dark.
Was it, I was going to say, was it dark enough over there?
It was full dark, but when it first came up, it was during the day, and it was real pretty to see it. You know, when the full moon comes out and it's still daylight out, it's kind of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You know, as the eclipse started to happen, it was just beautiful. The night started to set in as the moon got red, and just real pretty.
Very cool. Very cool. It's just different. It's interesting to the perspectives because of the time difference, the time zone difference.
Yeah, it definitely made it a little nicer. It was much easier to get out at 9 p.m. to see the eclipse than it is maybe to get out at midnight and see an eclipse, especially like on a Sunday night when you got to work on Monday morning.
Blah.
So did you do anything? Did you do any ritual things? Did you say any spells or light any candles for the full moon?
I said some spells. My current journey to New York has made me a little tattered and battered. So I wasn't able to do any physical things. It was more having a private conversation with the moon and the goddess. That's where
There
I
you
had to
go.
take it last night. You know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. It's not all about the props necessarily. And last night was definitely a prop free night.
Sometimes, that's what you got to do if you're sitting in your apartment in the city and you can't get outside, or, if you're just too busy or too tired. I think going outside, smoking a bowl, saying thank you to the god and the goddess, whatever, to the earth, to the moon, whatever you need to do to kind of say that little prayer, do that
Soak it all
meditation.
in.
All the things that we've been working on since the new moon hopefully have come to fruition, those mini cycles that we all go through month to month. We also just had Friday the 13th. Is that a lucky or an unlucky day for you, Shell?
I like Friday the 13th. I don't know. Maybe it's because I grew up liking Friday the 13th movies. I don't know. It's like the day of Jason. I don't know. I don't find it to be an unlucky thing personally, but I know that can really throw some people for a loop. I mean, do you find it to be lucky or unlucky?
I do find it to be lucky. Actually, 13 has always been my lucky number since I was a kid. Friday the 13th, has always kind of been lucky for me. I've always figured it was a great day instead of a bad day. And maybe it's just me being a contrarian asshole when I was a kid.
Perspective is half the battle. Truly.
That's right.
It really is. And, I hear that like hospitals go crazy on the full moon and Friday the 13th. And like, I never really understood that, I guess, maybe because it wasn't unlucky for me and it wasn't something that bothered me on a spiritual level or anything. It's all what you make it. And I think people have made it a superstitious thing.
I think you're right on that. We can get things in our heads, we can kind of get these ideas of things that are going to happen, and maybe perspective is a lot of it, kind of change your outlook and change how you feel about something, what you pay attention to. What's that thing called where confirmation bias or something, like the thing you think you're going to see is the thing that you see. So if you think Friday the 13th is unlucky, you're going to pay attention. Yeah, you'll pay attention to all the bad things that happen. And if you think it's a lucky day, then every time something good happens, that's what will register in your brain. I don't know.
Yeah. It's definitely kind of I don't want to say mind over matter, but sometimes life is what you make it. And if you make it a shit show, it's going to be a shit show.
That's true.
know?
And if you make it good, you definitely make it good. Speaking
Right.
of make it good, I am going to grab some of this blissful wizard that my sweet delivery driver just dropped off to me from the gas station. I'll be right back.
I'm actually still smoking this dog patch. I got a couple containers of it. I really like it. I really kind of thought, let me try Layla's theory here and lay off the absolute highest THC content possible and give it a go. So I'm still smoking the dog patch. I still like it. I still think it's the greatest thing. I might, my next round going up to the store, just check out some other things. But for now, I'm dog patching it and I love it.
I am also doing an old favorite here. I'm smoking on some blissful wizard that I just got delivered to me. I have had this cultivar before and I do like it a lot. They just got back in stock, so I was very happy to see it back on their website, and I had to order another ounce of it.
Do you have buying limits in California? Like in Massachusetts, you can only buy like an ounce a week.
Really?
Yeah.
Per person, you can only buy an ounce a week?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am unaware of specific weekly limits like that here. I feel a little bad. I should look up those I really should know what those are. I think you can carry an ounce on you and have a lot of ounces at home. Wow, that's terrible that I don't know what the rules are. I'm just so
Slacking.
really, you can only buy an ounce a week. I smoke about an ounce a week.
Yeah, right.
So if I hit my limit, I'm screwed. Is that what you're saying?
Kinda.
Or I'd have to find someone else. That's not cool.
Yeah.
There's some weeks, especially if I'm having pain flare-ups or something, I need more than an ounce a week. I guess I'd have to just do concentrates.
For pain, I definitely smoke more like when it's damp. So if we get a stretch of like 2 weeks of like rain, I'm smoking way more in those 2 weeks because the dampness. I'm sure there's some medical thing that I'm unaware of, but the more damp it is, the more I hurt. It's like my back just hates the rain.
If I was only limited to 1 ounce a week, I'd be seriously hurting some months.
But yeah, I'm very surprised that you're not up and knowledgeable on your state laws. Like,
I
that's
don't,
so unlike you.
that is unlike me. Again, I know what you're allowed to carry, that you're allowed to carry an ounce on you at a time, but I am just not aware of how much you're allowed to buy per week. I guess maybe because thankfully the laws at least, no one's shaking me down outside the pot shop or calling me up to check in on me on how much I'm smoking. So that's a good thing. It's none of their business anyway.
Unfortunately, there's probably a database and that's how they keep track.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure there is. As soon as you walk in, they take your name, your address, your phone number. They know everybody that's buying things at a dispensary.
Oh, see, in Massachusetts, to get in the door, they have to scan your license. And then before you even order, your license gets scanned again by the cashier.
Yeah, here too. Either your medical card, you're filling out your forms and giving them either your medical card or your license before you get anything.
Yeah, but whatever.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. I just wish that they would do better about some of the rules. They need to make more common sense rules.
I just remember the first time I got a receipt for weed, I was dumbfounded and so happy I thought I could die.
I was too. I mean, coming out here and going into my first dispensary, I was over the moon. I was like a kid in a candy shop. I think you said the same thing. It's quite an experience to go from just growing your own or the black market to seeing legal weed on shelves with people walking around being like, "Can I help you find something?" And they're talking about pot. I love
Right,
that.
right. That is awesome. That is very awesome.
And so is this Blissful Wizard. I'm really liking it a lot. It's one of the higher THCs. You'd be happy.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, again, it's over 30%. I don't know the exact one. This one might be 31 or 32, but it's right around there. It's a nice flavor. This one doesn't have a lot of, it just has a nice weed flavor. I can't really say anything other than that. It tastes like weed. It tastes good. It's got that
normal weed.
Yeah, that normal light green kind of weedy taste. It's good. I like it a lot. It's a good high.
You always have like this delicious, good sounding stuff.
I like delicious, good sounding stuff. If it's not fun to smoke, why are you smoking it?
Why are you smoking?
Exactly. Yep. You gotta enjoy things. Life is too freaking short. And I would have to say this is a good high for the stories that we're about to launch into that have been submitted by some of our listeners and some, people on different message boards online that have had amazing experiences.
And like I said in the beginning, this is one of my favorite types of episodes to do because I love other people's stories and to kind of be all deep about it. There's been for a lot of time a stigma around seeing ghosts, hearing things, things of that nature, a stigma. And I think if people started talking more about their experiences, there wouldn't be so much, "Oh, you saw a ghost? You're crazy." I ain't crazy. My grandpa just never left. What are you talking about?
Right? I mean, everybody has some sort of strange experience that they can't explain. And I think we should definitely be a little skeptical. We want to look into them. And if there's a logical explanation, you go with that one. But when all logical explanations are gone and you're just left with something that's unusual and unexplained, we should talk about it. We should share that. Why not? We should.
Right. And not everything can be explained here, people. I mean,
yeah. And they shouldn't be. And besides,
And
it's fun this way. What good would a campfire be without a great ghost story that's unexplained?
exactly. And, you know, same thing with the cryptids. Bigfoot's out there. Bigfoot's out there. And a quick, I want to tell our listeners about this real quick cryptid update. So I love my daily
You've got
mail.
a cryptid update, Chelle?
I do.
Oh, give me the update.
So my darling boyfriend loves sharks. So we're always looking up shark stuff, shark this, shark that. When you live in Massachusetts.
So wait.
Straws,
He's from Massachusetts, born and bred.
Yep.
And he loves sharks.
More than anything on the planet.
Now, I know how old he is. So I know Jaws figured into his childhood.
Absolutely.
Make this make sense. How does this make sense?
So apparently down, I don't remember where it was. Somewhere, might have been England. I don't know. Somewhere recently in the last 2 weeks or so, this kid was like searching on the beach with his dad, finding treasures. You know how people like look for sea glass and all that jazz?
I love doing that.
Found a freaking megalodon tooth.
What?
Now
that's a dinosaur shark.
Okay, so you're thinking,
that's not any shark. That's a dinosaur shark.
Here's there's a bigger stop. You're too high to say dinosaur.
I can't say dinosaur.
Cough to get off. Cough to get off. The other piece to that puzzle was also, in light of this tooth being found, this research group decided to let loose some footage from 2018. And in one of those deep sea underwater trenches, they actually have video of a 60-foot shark. And let's just say great whites don't grow that big. And
a 60-foot shark?
They basically all but have 100% proof that there is actually still a megalodon living and breathing in the trenches of our fucking oceans right now.
No way. Like a giant sea monster still living in the
oh wow. Like Jaws on steroids.
Like that Jurassic Park one where that big huge megalodon shark like leaps up and eats the airplane or whatever.
They said based on what they were able to get on the underwater cameras, they're estimating its mouth width, like when how they do the mouth width, 10 feet. 10 feet. It could eat me whole sideways and have room still.
I could stand on your head.
And it could eat us both sideways.
It could eat us both. Wow.
We ain't talking freaking Jaws here. Like Jaws is like a little freaking
Jaws. It could eat Jaws and not think about it.
Jaws is a tadpole to this motherfucker.
Jaws is nothing. It's like, fuck Jaws.
But yeah, no,
wow.
This was in the news in the last 4 or 5 days. Like
this is fucking scary.
And I'm like, oh yeah, let me just fucking go jump in the ocean for a swim. What?
The crazy things that we're going to find now that we can put, cameras in more and more places. We're just going to keep finding these crazy, crazy things more and more.
Well, It's going to give us more stories to talk about.
Right? That just means we'll have more things for the podcast.
So if anybody is swimming deep in the ocean and you come across a megalodon, please send us your true stories.
And a picture. We would love a picture. That'd be great. stonedwitcheshour@gmail.com.
My first thought was, oh my God, another cryptid. Yeah, I went there.
So when is Sharknado going to do the megalodon version?
I think they already did.
Did they? There's so many. I've lost track.
There's a megalodon movie on Netflix. Like, yeah, it's all, yeah.
You guys have probably seen all of them since your boyfriend likes sharks so much.
Oh, more than I would like to have seen. Okay. I'm not down in the actors and producers and directors, but Lord, I'm over it.
Now, since this is probably a dinosaur, are they sure it's a shark and not a ghost dinosaur shark? Did their cameras pick up like the ghost of a dinosaur shark down there? Or are they sure it was dark?
They showed pieces of the video. It looks like a big fucking shark, man. Like, it's scary.
That sounds very scary.
And how they were able to gauge what they thought the estimated size was, like the mouth width and the length of it, was that at the bottom of that trench, there was a mangled up old shark cage.
Oh, so they could get an estimate of size.
And it was swimming near the shark cage. So that's how they were totally able to come up with relatively accurate measurements based on the size of the shark cage.
Now, what trench was this? The Mariana Trench? I know that one's like the deepest one. I don't think it was that one. That's the only one I know the name of.
Give me 2 seconds.
Do, 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 do,
Right.
do, do, do. I don't know any other like jingle to hum. I think Jeopardy has broken my brain.
Jeopardy is all we got. Jeopardy's
Yeah.
all we got. You were right. How'd you know that? Did you read the article?
No, I didn't. The Mariana Trench is the only one I know the name of.
Oh, okay. I thought you read the article.
No.
But yeah. Basically, it says a giant shark caught on camera scouring the bottom of the Mariana Trench has sparked debate about if megalodons still exist. The huge predator can be seen swimming over what seems to be an abandoned shark cage. The giant prehistoric shark called a megalodon ate everything in its path and was said to lurk in the Earth's deepest oceans.
Holy shit. If there's one, that means it had parents.
Right. And it says that the footage reemerged after being filmed in 2018, and it's proof that they're not extinct. People are still debating it online, but one of the persons in the research team said that they thought that the deeper they went into the seas, they'd see things like the giant squids that they thought were extinct. So this is why they can't be terribly surprised that the deeper they go, the more they're finding things we thought were gone that may not be gone.
That's wild. That's so scary.
You got to remember, there's still millions and millions of square miles of ocean that we just don't even have a clue about. But they estimate that a shark this size could eat 5 full-grown orcas in one bite.
Like at SeaWorld orcas?
Freaking SeaWorld orcas, man.
Free Willy orcas?
It says that the giant shark could weigh the same as 5 buses. And we believe, because we're pompous human beings, we believe that they died off around 3 million years ago.
Well, obviously they did not.
But again, this video that's just resurfaced is from 2018. So there's that.
Cryptid news, you're not kidding. That really has to make you wonder, what else have we missed? What else is lurking in the deep, dark shadows that we haven't found yet? Or that's hiding on purpose?
Godzilla's there, man. I'm telling you.
All these different creatures lurking under the ocean or under the mountains. Who knows? We don't know. I just
want dragons to make a reappearance.
I thought the same thing. I was like, if there's giant sharks, maybe there's dragons.
If shit's coming back, can we bring back dragons?
I don't know. Then there's going to be virgin sacrifices. They're going to lay waste to towns and villages. People are going to try to hunt them down for their hordes. I mean, it's just, you're going to run out of virgins eventually.
I was going to say, I will not be subjected to any virgin sacrifices, but
well, I know, but we need to protect
the youth of the planet.
Yeah, the uncorrupted. We need to protect the uncorrupted. Wow, that is a cool story, Chelle. I had no idea.
I wanted to mention that. I mean, I have no spookiness around it, but I definitely wanted to mention it because I know we got a lot of listeners that are definitely into that type of thing that may not have caught that on the internet news. But yeah,
there is 60 feet worth of spookiness right there.
His mouth is 10 feet wide. 10 feet wide.
10 feet wide mouth. That is spooky. That is extra spooky.
That's wider than a car.
The fact that some sort of dinosaur could still exist and we didn't know, that's spooky. That is really spooky.
What's spooky is the way we're treating this planet and the fact that some of this shit's going to come back and whoop our asses.
Okay, different podcast.
Different podcast.
So let's talk about some more mundane spookiness rather than the end of the world as we know it. And we'll talk about some scary stories from some of our listeners.
We have some good stories today. First of all, I want to again thank our folks that sent in our stories, that got us on Reddit, that sent us emails. You're great. We adore your stories. And the 2 times we've done this, we do get a bunch. So if you've sent in a story to us and we didn't get to it today, never fear. We are going to be doing a bunch of these throughout the months and time to come. We just can only do so many in an episode. So for the ones we're going to do today, love your stories and we can't wait to tell everybody.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. And if you do have a story that you want to tell us and have us possibly read on the air, please send them to thestonedwitcheshour@gmail.com.
I want to start with a fun story This is from one of our listeners, SadieSunhome. So Sadie writes in that this is actually her husband's story, but it scares the shit out of her. Okay,
Ooh,
I'm already
okay.
If she's getting the shit scared out of her, I'm listening. This happened a few years before they met. She didn't say when or how long they've been together, so I'm not sure how long ago this was, but it happened to her husband before they met. She says, "Let me just say that my husband is a man of logic and science." Oh, I know the type, sister. Know the type. She says he believes in ghosts, but it's literally the last conclusion he jumped to explain anything seemingly unexplainable.
Same,
right? But he couldn't explain or didn't want to explain this experience. Those are the ones that scare you the most. The ones you don't want. You're so scared, you just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, the ones where you try to think of something, anything logical to explain it, and you really just can't, no matter how hard you try. Those scare me.
And then you're torn between, am I going to sound crazy or scare myself more by talking about it?
Right.
SadieSunhome's husband travels a lot for work. And at this time, he was at a hotel in Savannah, Georgia. Well, there's the first reason why he was having some ghosty stuff. He was in Savannah, Georgia.
Savannah, Georgia. I think it's wall-to-wall ghosts there. I'm pretty sure.
You might as well be in New Orleans.
Yeah, you can't walk down any of those streets without running into a ghost. Remind me,
Right?
I got to tell you the time that I saw a ghost of a stripper on Bourbon Street. I'll tell you the story one of these days.
That'll be a whole episode in and of itself. Don't worry, guys. We'll make her tell the story. We'll make it a whole episode. We'll get graphic. It'll be great.
Okay, so the husband's in Savannah, Georgia, already haunted.
In a hotel, and the bathroom mirror directly faced another mirror on the back of the bathroom door. So like, when the bathroom door is closed, like two mirrors are kind of facing each other type deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like the sink in the back of the door is what I'm gathering. When the door was closed, it kind of created that infinity mirror look.
That's already a bad idea. I hate that. That's one of
I don't like that.
Those creep me out.
Where it seems to get smaller and smaller reflections that go on infinitely type look.
Those are so scary.
So one night, and I'm assuming he was alone. One night he was in the bathroom getting ready for bed, and the door was closed, and he was in front of the sink mirror, noticing his many reflections, when one popped its head out of the long line of them and made a fucked up face.
Wait.
So it was like his face popped out of
one of the reflections. One of his. No.
It made a fucked up face at him.
No. So this wasn't a person in the other room, like kind of interrupting his reflection.
Black holes instead of eyes, an evil grin.
No, you are no. No. Get out of that house. Oh my God.
No, he was in a hotel. He was in a hotel.
Get out of that hotel. Go. Oh my God. Get a different room.
Now, I would imagine if he was traveling for work, I mean, we're talking about a grown man here. He was freaked out so bad that he went into his bed and hid under the covers until he fell asleep because he didn't know what else to do.
That's actually a smart move. Under the covers, definitely protection. But damn, I might have changed rooms.
Now, SadieSunhome, are you listening? Because I want to know, has this happened again? And not only has it happened again, was it a one-time thing, but would he be willing to try to recreate this to see what...
Chelle, do not listen to... No.
Curious.
Do not listen... Chelle. What
if maybe there's a message?
Maybe there's a portal to like a demonic realm
that you need to know you have to close. You can't just ignore shit.
You don't open it. Oh my goodness.
You don't think he should try again and see?
No, I do not. I absolutely do not.
You better listen to Laylla. You better listen to Laylla, SadieSunhome, because I'm always the one that gets us into trouble.
It's true.
Listen
she
to Laylla.
Does.
I'm nosy and want to know, but listen to Laylla.
No,
so
I would.
Yeah, so that's Sadie's story, and I'm freaked out, and I want to know, but listen to Laylla.
I understand being curious, and I say yes to your shenanigans more than I say no, because it's usually fun and interesting. Right. But I have a healthy fear of mirrors and portals in mirrors. They really freak me out. And I just think that that's not something necessarily that you should fuck with.
that Sadie's husband should just let it lay and let bygones.
I don't know. I think I would be sealing. I think I would be using sealing oil or some type of spell on any reflective surface for the rest of my life if that happened.
At the very least, I just want to know if it's happened again. Don't provoke it, but I just want to know if he's had was that a one and done? But if he's one of those types of guys, honestly, and I'm not knocking him, but he might be afraid to tell people if it happened again.
That's true, especially if he's a skeptic. Would you continue to look? I know you would.
I would, because I just am a nosy troublemaker.
I would because I'm an idiot, but and my curiosity gets the best of me, even though half of my brain is usually screaming to stop. The other half is right. Half of my brain is an adult, and the other half is like a very curious toddler.
Yeah, SadieSunhome. We like your story. We think it is freaky. We agree with you. And like I said, listen to Laylla, but I do want to know if he's had any other experiences. Let us know. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. I've got one. This also has to do with a husband. So this is
always the husbands.
Right. Maybe they get us into more trouble.
Maybe. Yeah.
This one's from Organic Ad 6677. And she says, one day, my husband came home and said that his friend had recently acquired a house with air conditioning available and asked if we would like to rent it since the house we lived in only had a swamp cooler. The previous summer was horrible and we suffered through some extreme heat. I was not going to pass on this opportunity, and so we signed all of the paperwork and moved in right away. One early morning while getting home from dropping off my husband at work, I was suddenly overcome with such a strong feeling of nausea. I thought nothing of it and parked the car. As I stepped into the house, my eyes fixated on the kitchen area. There he was, a man who was see-through.
What?
Yeah, he was bent over, peeking at me from the wall between the kitchen and the living room, hiding himself from the waist down. He was just staring at me. As soon as I saw him, I dropped my keys to the tile floor. He quickly stood upright and was not hiding his whole self behind the wall. Now, normally I would have screamed, but at this age I was over it. Having seen so many spirits since my early childhood, I had grown accustomed to the unexpected visits. I turned on the lights in every room, making sure that no one was physically there, and went to bed.
Yeah, but just because they're not physically there doesn't mean they're not there to play games and have some fuckery.
Sounds like she's used to it, and she's just like, hey, he didn't do anything. She checked to make sure it wasn't a real person. She's like, hey, it's just a spirit. She seems used to it. So yeah, she seems like just over it. So she went to bed. Later that night, on our ride home from work, I told my husband of this unexpected visitor. He laughed at me nervously and told me to quit making up stories. I brushed him off because I knew that he had never experienced anything like this before.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. My brother passed away shortly after this. Aw. I'm sorry.
That's not cool.
And I have 4 brothers, and I would be devastated. And we decided to move in with my dad so that he would not be alone during our grieving process. My husband did not work on Mondays, and he decided to finish cleaning out the old house and turn in the keys to the landlord since that was his friend. When I got to my dad's house that night, my husband said that he needed to talk to me. I asked him if he had turned in the keys, and he yelled yes. He said to listen to him and that what he had to say was serious. I sat up straight and gave him my full attention, not saying a word. He said he had gone into the rental house and started to sweep the floors. Since there was no furniture inside, he said that every noise echoed. As he started to sweep, he said he heard a man's voice clearly say, "Do you need some help here?"
What?
He said it startled him, and he began looking around and saw that no one was there.
First of all, I would have said, yes, could you grab a broom, please?
Right? If you're going to talk to me, you could at least help pick up.
Right?
He said that every hair on the back of his neck stood up and swore that it sounded like someone was standing right behind him, talking directly into his ear.
You know, I hate that. Why can't ghosts talk to you from across the room like a normal person? Why does it be all up on your space?
It's always like right up next to your ear. It's so rude. Personal boundaries.
That's what I'm saying. Talk like a normal conversation. You don't need to be touching me to talk to me.
Thank you. He said that he ran out of that house so fast he forgot to lock the doors. He finally decided to tell me that the landlord had bought the house because the little old man that lived there previously had died inside the home.
Oh.
and that he had been dead for some days before anyone found him.
He's still home.
And after having experienced this firsthand, it's safe to say my husband is now a believer.
See, here's the thing. The guy still lives there in his mind. So he's thinking that someone's there cleaning his house. So he offers to help.
He offered to help. You know, he was just kind of checking them out when they first moved in. Sounds like they were probably the first people to move in after the owner passed. Wow. Hearing auditory things like that, that's really got to creep you out, especially as a non-believer, to hear something right there clearly say, do you want some help with that? And to know there's no one there.
I'm just glad their go-to was not a Ouija board.
Yeah, that's right. They at least didn't take any Ouija boards there. Smart. Well, it sounds like she's experienced, so she knows better.
Right. Jeez. Well, I guess it's not so bad because they kind of put all the pieces together after moving out.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that spirit is connected to that land space. So,
right. And he doesn't sound mean, just a little spooky.
You know, I believe, and maybe I'm the crazy nut job here, it's conceivable, but I believe that spirits kind of have a sense of who's listening. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I think so too. Sure. I've heard that. I've definitely heard that theory before.
So maybe when he was peeking around the corner, maybe he was trying to make his presence known, but didn't want to scare her.
Yeah. And maybe when he saw that she was kind of nonchalant about it, he was just then like, okay, cool.
Then he turned into more relaxed ghosty, where he was like, all right, we're just going to coexist here.
Yeah, until it was time for them to move out. You know, I've noticed sometimes that move-ins and move-outs, you know, when things are chaotic, when you do some type of renovation or, when the energy is kind of stirred up in a location.
I was going to say, because you're changing things.
Yeah. Sometimes that can kind of make a ghost or some type of haunting a little more active.
Yeah. And in my next story, I'm going to tell kind of the same thing. People that just don't know they're gone. People that just kind of linger in their space. So this next story from medicine number 8424. I think that's what it means. Medicine no 8424. I think that should be number is like what it's short for. I don't know. Medicine NO 8424. Their story begins in 1973. Their grandparents bought a house that had been vacant for several years. What is with people buying dead people's houses and vacant houses?
That's the thing. We were just talking about when you disturb things. So you leave the ghosts alone for a few years and they're all just hanging out, chilling, happily haunting their little quiet house. And then you come in and disturb everything. Of course, they're going to kind of pop up.
It's like adding roommates. The previous owners of this house had died in a car accident. Actually, it sounded kind of tragic. A mother, a father, and 2 small children were killed.
That's terrible. That is tragic.
They were actually a family of 7. So the mother and the father and 2 small children were killed. 3 older daughters were not with them and were left out.
Oh, wow. That's terrible. Those poor kids.
They basically had 5 kids and only had 2 of them with them that died.
Oh.
The 3 older daughters went and lived with relatives after that. The house was vacant. So when this person moved in, the house had been vacant. They describe it as literally frozen in time for about 4 years. Our listener was too young to help, but remembered them removing like rotten food from the cabinets and the refrigerator. So like basically, once this family died, the relatives kind of took the other remaining kids, shut the door, and nobody touched anything in the house for 4 years, including the food.
Everything was just left like a time capsule, not touched.
All their clothes and personal belongings came with the sale of the house. Obviously, when these folks moved in, they threw most of it away. Pictures and mementos were given to the remaining daughters at the time because they were in their teens. So our listener lived in the house uneventful for years till one summer day, the grandmother, the sister, and this person were sitting in the living room watching TV. The grandma was on the phone doing the grandma chatty Cathy thing.
Right, like how grandmas are, gossiping about all the things.
How grandmas are. They had the windows open and they had the screen door, keeping all the flies out and stuff. When they looked out at the end of a long walk, saw people in dress clothes coming through the gate.
Oh, never. Unexpected visitors are never cool.
Especially when they're all dressed up.
Right? It makes me always wonder, like, if they're door-to-door religious salespeople or something.
Wait for it. So the grandma gets off the phone and looks out the window and sees the people coming up. And right away, the grandmother said, "Oh, those are Jehovah Witnesses. Let's go into the
Yeah.
let's go into the kitchen so they don't see us."
Yeah, grandma.
How many people have done that? In those days, they were kind of the equivalent, I guess, of the "let's talk about your car's extended warranty" type people. We have all had those Jehovah Witnesses at our door.
Yes, we have.
We feel ya. So they go and they go and hide in the kitchen out of sight, thinking they'd knock a few times and leave. So they're hiding quiet in the kitchen for a few minutes when they heard the screen door open and open for a few seconds and then slam closed again.
What?
And
they came in the house? Oh no. Nope. I'm sorry. Door-to-door
Grandma
religious
was
salespeople
pissed.
are bad enough. You can't come in the house. That's not cool.
Grandma was pissed.
Rightfully so.
No one was just going to walk into her damn house uninvited, with the kids there or not.
Right? Go off on them, Grandma.
So our listener was ready for Grandma to unleash her hellfire on these people. I love that hellfire. That's
right?
such a grandma thing to do. Release the hellfire.
Right. And you never want grandma to release that because grandmas can be wicked.
Just to warn everybody out there, I'm a grandma now. So I'm going to be releasing some hellfire. Okay. So the kids follow her into the living room. Guess what?
What?
Nobody's there.
Wait, they came in the door. The door only opened and closed once, Chelle. They didn't leave. Where are they further in the house?
Now, the way our listener explains it is the breeze coming through the screen door strangely created a feeling like being at a cemetery after the funeral when everyone had left. That was the feeling I got, and I don't know if that's why I would have described it at the time. I don't know if that's the way I would have described it at the time, but it was a real peaceful feeling, as if they were finally at rest.
Oh, wow.
Grandma looked puzzled. They walked out into the porch. Nobody, just the breeze blowing through the trees. They described it as the eeriest feeling to see nothing and not knowing what happened. So they went back into the house and didn't say anything. Because remember, they saw a group of people walking to their door.
Yeah, dressed nice.
That have now poof fucking vanished, gone.
So they saw a group of people dressed up walking to the door.
Assuming they were Jehovah Witnesses. So they went and hid in the kitchen.
They came in the house.
They did.
And then now they're just gone. And no one heard them leave. No one heard them leave.
So that no one said anything to each other because they were kind of freaked out.
Well,
so next day, Grandma's working in her garden and the neighbor came to the fence and was talking about how good her garden looked and how they really needed some rain. After a few minutes of conversation, the neighbor asked the grandmother about the visitors. And the grandmother said, "What visitors?" Now, the neighbors were old people as well.
Wait, why did the grandma say what visitors?
Because no one was there, remember?
Right, but they saw them. She saw them walking down the walk, though, right?
They disappeared, Layla. They fucking disappeared.
Okay. Well, wouldn't you say you mean the ones that you saw them too or something? I don't know. I'm just confused.
Back in the 70s, early 80s, you don't say that or you're going to the funny farms.
So she was like, what do you mean? What visitors? Trying to see what that lady would think to, see if she had seen them too.
Yeah, because, these neighbors are super old people too and knew the whole family their whole life. So the grandmother and this lady went to school together. There's no secrets.
Mm-hmm.
So she says, the people that came to your house yesterday, and the grandmother told her what happened and that we didn't see them after that.
The neighbors saw them too. That's wild.
The lady next door begins to tell Grandma that they saw those people come down an old holler across the road that led to the top of the mountain, and there hadn't been a house up there in 25 years. She just assumed, as they did, that they were Jehovah Witnesses going from door to door and that they didn't realize there was nothing up there. She told the person's grandmother that it was a man and a woman with two small kids and that they were dressed like they had just come from church. After they came through the gate, they were halfway down the walk and the man turned and hugged the woman as if to comfort her. And the kids were walking and playing with them. When they got to the front door, the man pulled the door open and held it for the woman and the kids and then followed them in.
So the neighbors saw way more than the people inside. The people inside just saw
Correct.
them coming up their walk and went and hid. This neighbor saw them walk down the street. Wow.
Basically, what the deal is, the family that owned the house that got killed in the car accident on the way to church, so the three girls
Wow.
lived there with grandma. So the other grandchildren, and I don't know if it was like the son and daughter-in-law or daughter and son-in-law, were basically coming home to see their other kids.
Oh, that's so sad. Oh my goodness.
So basically, they went from wherever the car accident was to come home.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
But the weird part is that like you said, the neighbors saw everything.
Damn. And so the neighbors saw the kids, the neighbors saw them playing, the neighbors saw them open the door and go in. And at first
Yep.
thought they were real people.
Yep. Until the
Dang.
conversation. Yeah. Yeah. The lady's child and grandchildren that had passed were coming home.
Wow. That
Now,
is downright
I don't
spooky.
I don't know if they ever had that experience again. Again, medicine NO 8424. I want to know, was this a one and done or has it happened again? Does your grandmother still own the house, I guess, or someone in your family still own the house, I guess would be the first question. Because if you're not associated with that property, it might not happen again.
Oh my goodness. Wow. And then the family came back. Oh my goodness.
They were just coming home. They were literally coming home.
Two completely separate people, completely separate families saw them.
Yeah.
Talk about a corroboration. Whew, that's really spooky.
You're not seeing shit when the neighbors next door are corroborating your story.
Right? Oh my goodness. I'm gonna hit this blissful wizard because that's sad. That's sad and spooky.
It almost sounds like as he was consoling her as they walked up the door, it was almost like, I know we're dead, but we're home. You know what I mean?
Right. I wonder if that was the first and last time. Oh my goodness. I wonder what triggered it.
I don't know.
Wow. Yeah, that one is sad.
The way the story was told, it doesn't sound like there was necessarily a trigger. No.
Now, see, that's a time when you would want to have like one of those Ring cameras or home security system.
Well, yeah.
And this next story that I have, they did.
Ooh! Did they send a video? Please tell me they sent a video. Is there a video?
You'll see. Is there video or is there not? This is from Momo52915. And they say, last night around 10 p.m., my boyfriend and I were sitting in the living room trying to find a movie.
They said last night? So this is like a real time story?
Right? They sent it right after it happened.
Nice.
Trying to find a movie to watch on Amazon Prime Video, as one does. We have video surveillance cameras everywhere outside, 2 that point to the front door at different angles, 1 for the backyard and 1 for each side of the house. The monitor screen is kept in the living room on a table next to the recliner that I was sitting in. I just sat down for not even 5 minutes, then I heard a child's voice come over the monitor. The voice said, "Hello." I thought to myself for a minute, the fuck? Does my son have his bedroom window open and he's yelling through the window for some reason and the camera is picking it up because there is a camera next to his bedroom window?
I'd be freaked out. I'd be like, who's in my fucking kid's bedroom?
Then she remembered, no, it can't be because he's sleeping in my room in my bed.
Oh.
I called upstairs to him and he answered. I look at the monitor screen and I see a man who appeared to be very tall.
What?
Right? What is it with these weird people showing up at people's houses at all hours?
Don't fuck with the kids, ma'am. You want to, to all the ghosts out there, all the ghosts in the universe, don't fuck with the kids, man. That's just rude.
Leave the kids alone. So this tall gentleman in the monitor is wearing a red and white flannel shirt and holding a little girl's hand. She had on a light striped long sleeve shirt and she had frizzy blonde hair. They were walking up the steps to get into our entryway, and I turned to my boyfriend and said, "Somebody's here." We live in the middle of absolute nowhere. We live by a swamp. My closest neighbors are bears and coyotes and a couple Amish houses about a mile or so down the road.
Preach it, sister.
So this probably is not going to be Jehovah's Witnesses like the last story. That's a little too far out.
Right?
There are never ever any people, at least that we know of, who go walking down our street in the pitch black with no streetlights on a back road at 10 p.m. at night. So it seemed very strange to us. Us too, Momo. Just as the man and the girl get to our front door, my boyfriend opens the door and sees no one. They were gone.
Ah, here we go again.
Not a single trace or sign of them. My boyfriend goes outside by the road to see if he could see any cars, but there was nothing. We thought maybe they were having car trouble and stopped for help, but there were no signs of that being a possibility. I let the dog outside, and my boyfriend went outside with a flashlight, but nothing was there.
That's when you hide under the covers and you send your boyfriend out to handle it. Or you stick together. You know, Scooby-Doo, people, never separate.
Never separate. Grab your Scooby snacks, grab your flashlight.
In your pipe, and don't separate and get high and figure it out.
That's right. Get your blankie, throw it over both of you. You should be good. I sent my dog outside, and my boyfriend went outside with a flashlight, but nothing was there. We watched the camera footage, and the people coming to the door never recorded.
What?
But she saw it on the monitor.
Now, let me ask you this, and maybe Momo didn't say this, but I'm curious. You know me, I always got questions.
You have questions.
Was there a blip in the recording, almost like it was fucked with, like a blip, or was it a smooth running? And she knows she saw it on the monitor, and then when they looked it back, it was smooth running. Like, I'm just wondering if there was a blip.
Curious minds want to know, Momo. She doesn't say here, but if you're listening, send us an email.
Now, Momo, the problem is, I just want to let you know, the problem is this dog patch weed just is like such an upper and a chatty type weed that, like, I have all these questions.
You do? Well, she's got some more to say.
Oh, boy.
We reviewed old camera footage and saw nothing that looked or sounded like that. We don't even know people that look like that, or have ever had anybody that could have possibly come over that looked like that. My boyfriend does not believe in ghosts, but seeing that we had no explanation for this, I think he changed his mind. We have lived in the house for 4 years, and I personally have never experienced anything until last night. Then my boyfriend admitted that the one night I was at work, he saw something moving in the yard and thought it was an animal. But when he went out to look, nothing was there, but my son's tire swing was swinging back and forth like crazy.
Oh, geez.
My son has been complaining for the past few months that he doesn't like to sleep in his bed because it sounds like something is crawling around under his bed and his bed shakes.
Oh, my God.
The original part of the house was built in the 1800s and was used as an old schoolhouse. An addition was put onto the house 20 years ago to make it bigger. The old schoolmaster used to live across the street in a house that is no longer there. I talked to my boyfriend today, and we both said that what happened was really weird, and we've come to terms with it potentially being a ghost sighting. I know that I'm not crazy because he saw them and heard the voice too. I've seen many ghosts in my lifetime. I just wondered what took so long for me to see one here. What bothers me is that it seemed like they wanted to get my attention, and it makes me feel very uneasy. A few days leading up to this, I would sit in the living room and just feel overwhelming dread and terrible anxiety. After seeing them, I don't feel any of that anymore. So weird.
Why would that's
weird, right?
Interesting reaction. Yeah.
So like before it happened, she was feeling like overwhelming dread and anxiety in that front room, that old part of the schoolhouse. And then she hears a little kid say hello and sees the kid and possibly the old school teacher on the monitor, but no recording.
And then felt better. Usually it's like the opposite type reaction. I mean, great for her. I'd rather have a happy ending than some crazy exorcist thing going on. But like, it's not a normal reaction.
It's so strange. Maybe it was kind of building, like the energy was building to something, maybe an anniversary or maybe something that they had done had stirred them up in some way. And then it was just kind of a one and done event.
Or maybe it happened before and they just didn't notice it till that time.
Right. Maybe they weren't there. Maybe it happens like every night at 10 p.m. or something.
Yeah.
And they just, this one time happened to see it. It's just wild that they both experienced it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool though.
Very cool story. Thank you for sending it in. That's spooky.
I like the weird experiences like that.
So creepy and just, you get two people that see it and that just makes it even harder to explain. And more fun. Absolutely.
So I'm gonna tell you my last viewer story. We each got one left. This one threw me for a little loop. That's why I kind of saved this one for last.
Oh, I'm excited. All right, I'm ready to be creeped out.
So this is from Mick Kimball 0664. That's so weird. I used to have a phone number that ended in 0664. So Mick Kimball writes, I bought my first house in 2003 and was over the moon. Nothing better than buying a house. Shortly after moving in, two of my neighbors began joking with me about the ghost in my house. All right. Did your real estate agent not disclose that? Because I feel like they should. I'd buy a haunted house.
Aren't some states supposed to tell you if something like that happens? Isn't having a haunting like one of those actionable events that they have to disclose?
I don't even know.
I think in some states it's true.
So Mick Kimball thought that they were joking and just played along, pretending that they had seen one and that it was no big deal.
Okay, that sounds fun.
As time went on that summer, they met more and more of their neighbors, and they all brought it up. Every one of them. Finally, an elderly woman on the block who was quite kind and friendly told me the story after I'd asked her. I knew she wasn't going to screw with my head, which is why I'd asked in the first place. Turned out the previous owner purchased the home and never lived there because she said it was haunted. So first of all right, there's your first clue. Someone buys the house and refuses to move in.
Well, no, the first clue was everyone in the neighborhood having a story and knowing that the place is haunted. It has a reputation.
I hope you got a discount for that first.
Right? I don't know. In today's market, that might be a selling point, that you might be able to double your asking price. Comes with ghosts. Price is now doubled.
Sounds in the night of footsteps and sobbing and glimpses of a man sitting in the kitchen covered in blood. That would be the one. That would be the part that freaked me out, the covered in blood.
People crying and someone covered in blood in the kitchen. No wonder she refused to move in. Those are not good roommates. Those are not good roommates.
One of the neighbors had helped with the renovations of the house and said that he was putting up drywall when he felt something lift up his dreadlocks. Why do they have to touch you?
That's
personal
not cool.
Space ghosts. Personal space ghosts.
Boundaries. We need boundaries. That
really.
Ghosts that don't respect boundaries are super scary.
Though Mick Kimball has had a paranormal experience before, it had been years. And by then, they had just chalked it up to night terrors. Well, one day, they went to a small neighborhood video store to rent a movie. Like Hollywood Video type thing, I would imagine.
Well, that kind of dates this.
Yeah, right. Hollywood Video. They had to fill out a form with their demographic data and then their credit card info. And the owner of the store looked at the form and said, "Oh my God, you live in that house?"
Another person. This reputation of this house is that's, you don't often, this is like an Amityville horror level reputation.
When you're walking into a random establishment and they're like, "Oh my God, you live there?" Like, right? That's when you know, that's a red flag.
That is a red flag. That's when you start to think about, maybe I should put this up for sale or turn it into a B&B.
Mick Kimball asked her what she meant, and she explained that her former employee had committed suicide in Mick Kimball's house.
Oh, no.
She came to the house as soon as she had heard, but the house had been taped off by police as a potential crime scene.
Oh, my gosh.
She told her, the video store worker told her that he had just moved into the house with his partner and called his mom because he wanted to invite her over to meet his partner and come out to her. Mm-hmm. Now, this was in the early 90s when being gay was a big deal.
Yeah.
People are bitches.
People are. It should never have been an issue. Anyway.
His mother already knew he was gay because he bought the house with a man and disowned him right over the phone.
Oh, that's sad too. Oh,
no,
that's terrible.
It gets
well, how
worse.
could you do that to your kid?
So, mother disowns him right over the phone. I would have thought in the 90s we would have been better, but we're not, apparently.
I thought people were better, but I guess not everybody.
No, that same week, he received a letter from the HIV testing center stating that he had tested positive for HIV.
Oh my goodness, this story just gets worse and worse.
This was when HIV was a death sentence. And he He sat at the kitchen table, ate a bowl of cereal, and then shot himself in the head with a revolver. So since then, she's had multiple paranormal experiences in her store. This is the video store owner where he worked.
Right.
She's telling Mick Kimball that she's had videos fly off the shelf, even levitating off shelves. I mean, that's crazy. It seems like the most they experience is sounds at night, sounds of Cheerios being poured into a bowl, which Mick Kimball wanted to point out that they don't even eat cereal, and sounds of sobbing in the kitchen. And Mick Kimball often awakens to both because, again, he ate cereal and then killed himself at the kitchen table. So to hear that sobbing at the kitchen table makes total sense. Mick Kimball remembers, she said, my grandmother said, when the dead come to you, they want something. Perform an act of charity in their name and pray for them. That's what her grandmother told her to do.
Well, that's good advice.
So they did, sat down at the kitchen table one night, lit a candle, and told him that each night I would recite the novena prayer for him before a lit candle. On the 9th night of the first novena to St. Anthony, the patron saint of lost souls, Mick Kimball heard an uncontrollable sobbing, felt a strong presence of grief and despair, and then the sound of hyperventilating breathing as though someone could not catch their breath.
Oh, wow.
Mick Kimball sat in the presence of this knowing it was not malignant, but rather a connection of intimacy and compassion for which he was in need.
Wow, how brave.
Basically, Mick Kimball was providing emotional support
For
to
a
ghost, essentially.
That takes big balls.
And that should be a career.
That takes ovaries right there.
So for 45 days,
a ghost
45
doula.
days. Yeah, right. So for 45 days, Mick Kimball said the novena prayer before a lit candle for his soul and had a mass said in his name. And a few times they had awakened to feel his presence standing over their bed, but knew it was not a malignant presence. And it still happens from time to time, but less and less frequently.
Wow, it sounds like maybe it worked. How nice of them to do that.
You know what it sounds like? It almost sounds like you did me a solid and now I'm going to watch over you.
Yeah, it does.
Almost like the ghost is now her friend, because that compassion of helping his soul kind of,
right.
I don't want to say heal's not the right word, but maybe come to terms.
Yeah, get ready to move on.
Maybe he just needed someone for the first time in his life, being a gay man in that time, just needed someone to show compassion. And Mick Kimball showed the compassion and now kind of has a ghosty friend for life.
Well, I think so too. Oh my gosh, what a wonderful service, that ghost doulaing.
Yeah, so Mick Kimball 0664, first of all, you fucking rock. And second of all, love your story.
Very sad story. Extra sad story. Okay.
So what's your final story? What you got today to wrap up our listener stories?
This one is also kind of sad. So the person who wrote this story is an artist, actually. I found their art page after reading their story, and I'll have to put a link to it because it's some pretty interesting art. Very, very creepy cool.
Ooh. Yeah, definitely link that stuff right up on this episode page.
So Mortismalum has a story, and he writes, when I was 13, my older brother, who was 18, and I were on our way to a movie when we were hit by a drunk driver.
Oh, fuck. That's horrible.
That is horrible. I woke up in hospital 4 days later, having lost my right leg, and the other leg was in a cast, along with many other injuries.
Oh, my God.
That night I woke up to my brother sitting by my bed, telling me that everything will be okay and to go back to sleep. The next day, my parents came to visit and see how I was doing. I asked why my brother wasn't with them, and they looked at each other but didn't say anything. That night, I again woke up to my brother sitting by my bed, and he was again telling me that he knows I can get through this, and I need to be strong and overcome this and not let my injuries stop me from living life.
Oh no. His brother was a ghosty.
Shh, don't give it away, Chelle. Spoiler alert. We talked a bit, him not answering specific questions, but answering more general questions. I remember asking him why he was still wearing clothes from yesterday, because it was very unlike him to wear anything similar to what he wore the day before. He didn't answer that, but when I asked how he was, he said better than he thought he would be given the circumstances. He reminded me to be strong and keep living and not let anything stop me, and he told me how much he loved me before telling me I should get some more sleep. The next day, my parents again came to visit me in the hospital, and again I asked why my brother wasn't with them. They looked at each other, and it was only after I said that I would like my family to visit together and not at different times, and that I want my brother to visit during the day with them when he could talk more instead of at night. That was when my dad asked what I meant, and I told him that Andy, my brother, had been coming at night to visit. My mom broke down crying and left the room. My dad then told me that that was impossible because Andy had died instantly in the accident.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
I didn't believe it, and I argued and argued and ended up having to be sedated.
Holy shit.
That night I had no visit, and the next day my parents brought me the newspaper article about the accident. Years later, my now ex-fiancée had an experience, and having never seen a photo of my brother, she described him to a T and what he was wearing the night he died.
Oh shit.
That's a story for another time, but it was nice knowing that my brother is still around and looking out for me and those that I care about.
Aw, that's horrible. But I'm glad that his brother still comes because that connection is still there.
Can you imagine having the ability to say goodbye like that? I mean, it's so sad that his brother died instantly, but what a gift to be able to talk to him and to have him tell you to be strong.
I don't want to say it gave him a little closure, but there was a little more than nothing, might not have been full closure, but at least there was some peace made.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad.
It is sad. It is sad, but it's also a little hopeful, because again, even though his brother died instantly, he was able to pass some wisdom on to his little brother and to give him hope,
Right.
What a nice gift. That's a nice gift.
That is. And hopefully there'll be more visits throughout the rest of his lifetime.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So spooky. I'm going to smoke more blissful wizard.
Let me tell you, we had some great stories today. I love when we do these books.
I do too. They're so scary.
Listeners, we love you. We love your stories. You're awesome. Really?
You guys rock and have the creepiest, spookiest, best stories. I love them so much. So please go ahead and send us more. We adore reading them. And, hey, what better to do on a rainy spring day than to curl up with a nice bong and a spooky story and just kind of chill out and relax, right?
Exactly. And remember, megalodons are out there, people.
Just when the beach is about to open and I'm about to go snorkeling again, Chelle, now you've got me scared to go back in the water.
No, you're going to go snorkeling and look for clues.
I'm not looking for a megalodon. No, thank you. Regular sharks are scary enough.
What's the matter, Colonel Sanders? Chicken?
When it comes to megalodon, they probably would think I was chicken. I'm like a chicken nugget, just a snack.
Just remember, they can eat you whole sideways.
I know. It's so scary. He wouldn't even blink. He'd still be hungry after he ate both of us.
Eating one human would be like flossing with a toothpick for them.
It's probably a good thing they don't get high, because can you imagine the munchies if you were a 60-foot long megalodon?
Well, I remember when I was reading the article, it said something ridiculous, like they have 276 teeth. Like, that's a lot of teeth.
That's too many teeth. And I wonder if they're like sharks today that constantly keep shedding and regrowing teeth. Ugh.
I don't know, but I feel like I have a lot of teeth and I do not have 276 teeth.
That's a lot of teeth. Nobody needs to see that when they're swimming. I'm very high, and that's too much shark and too much spooky for me. We should close off on something nice. So next week is our episode 20, Chelle. Can you believe it?
Oh my God. I cannot believe it. We have made it to 20.
Episode 20. It should be a lot of fun. We'll definitely find something spooky, scary to share with our listeners and to share with each other. I know I've got a great story lined up, and it's got a lot of fun, but it's also super haunted and spooky.
I have something prepared for you that I think is definitely A, going to trump your story in the spooky department, and B, I'm going to keep it close to home again and kind of give you some insight on a local treasure, a local haunted treasure.
Oh, I love your local stories. They're always so full of interesting little details, and
I love the stories that are more close to home and that we one or both of us have had some sort of experience in, because it's not all about just regurgitating stuff that we learn about and find about. We want to also let you guys know out there, This stuff happens to us too.
As you know, I read tarot cards and I've often done tarot parties, and people usually ask me if I see spirits, and that's not really my forte, calling ghosts or seeing ghosts. That's not a huge thing, but I've had a really pushy ghost. I did a party, right, for these people, and there was a young man that kept coming, and he was very insistent, and I don't usually see ghosts that are his energy
Pushy.
was just really pushy and strong and kind of brash and funny. And it turned out that they had had a friend that had passed away unexpectedly. So it was interesting. I had a little bit of information for them, but again, not my forte. So I only had a little bit. But the funny thing is about a year later, I was doing a reading online, like through Zoom with a client, and this ghost kept coming up.
Same one?
Same one, but it had nothing to do with the client that I was reading. But he was so insistent that he had a message for his friends that he came in during a reading I was doing for someone else.
That's like interrupting a phone call.
It had never happened to me before or since. It was the weirdest sensation. Again, this was like a year later. And so I had to look up her information. I sent her a message like, hey, I remember when we did this reading and your friend so-and-so, well, he just came back through and he has this message for you. And it turned out to be very timely for her. So
pushy ghosts. Pushy ghosts.
Apparently it was very important and he had to be very pushy about it. But sometimes I don't remember where I was going. I'm high. But
pushy in life, pushy after death. Some people are just pushy.
But yeah, personal experiences with ghosts or just any weird spooky experiences are a lot of fun. And I love hearing your adventures because you are always up for a challenge and always up to go someplace interesting. And that has gotten you into some really fun, really spooky, scary things, spine tingling.
That's why, listeners, when I try to tell you to do something crazy, listen to Laylla, because I will get you. I will get you in predicaments here, people. Scary, spooky predicaments. You'll be lost in the woods. You'll be being chased by like some Bigfoot type creature. Like, listen to Laylla.
Yeah, and I say listen to Chelle because where else are you going to get out there and have fun adventures and get out of your boring same old, same old? Sometimes you have to take a chance and shake it up. So maybe listen to both of us and find like a happy medium in there somewhere.
What do our kids say? YOLO, you only live once. YOLO, people.
It's true. Life is too short. Seize the day. It's springtime. Get on
and
out
go find
there.
Some ghosts.
Go find some ghosts. Have your own adventures. Enjoy that full moon while it's still out. And we'll see you next time on the Stoned Witches Hour.
Keep it spooky and high.
Thanks for listening to the Stoned Witches Hour, Book 2 of Your Stories. We appreciate everyone who's sent in a story, and if you would like to submit one of your personal experiences, please send it to thestonedwitcheshour@gmail.com, and we might just pick one of your ghostly happenings to read on our next Book of Your Stories. So thank you again, and we'll see you next week for episode 20 of the Stoned Witches Hour. Stay spooky, stay high. We'll see you later. Oh, it's Morgan's first podcast. This is unofficially dedicated to Morgan.